9:15, so we will now start the meeting. So good morning, welcome to the meeting of the Local Area Committee of West Lothian Council. I am Councillor Angela Dorn-Timpson and I am the chair of this committee. Meetings are usually broadcast live over the internet or on the Council's YouTube channel. Webcasts of meetings have been suspended from the 16th of March until the 7th of May because of the Scottish parliamentary elections on the 7th of May. This meeting is not therefore being webcast live. Members of the public will still have their usual statutory right to attend meetings in person, even where they are not being webcast. This recording of the meeting will be available through the Council's website soon after the 7th of May. I am being assisted today by Craig McCorriston and colleagues from Committee Services and IT. Attendees may be joining the meeting from another location. Everything said while microphones are live will be recorded. Members are asked to be polite, respectful and patient. There is more information, including a privacy statement about meeting arrangements on the Council's website. An agenda has been published showing the business for today's meeting. I will introduce each item and usually a Council officer will speak briefly about the report before councillors and others ask questions. Councillors might leave the meeting from time to time where they have declared an interest that prevent them from taking part. There will be a pause while that happens and they will be invited back to the next item of business. If the meeting is a long one, I may adjourn temporarily for a meal break or a comfort break. However, I will see if that is going to happen. Thank you. So we'll go to item 1, apologies for absence. Karen, do we have any apologies?
Thank you, Chair. We have one this morning from Graham Campbell at Winchburgh Community Council, and if I can also confirm that we have 2 people attending remotely today, Dougie Grierson and also Irene Bishop from Uphall Community Council.
That's great, thank you, Karen. Item 2, declarations of interest. Do we have any declarations of interest? No? So item 3, order of business as is per the agenda. Item 4. Oh, I'm sorry. Mike?
Good morning, Chair. I'd just like to discuss item 10.
That's on for a decision anyway, so that's absolutely fine. But thank you, Mike, for that. Anything else? Sorry, Janet, did you have something to say? Could hear you speaking. Right, well, when we're in the middle of a meeting, if we could possibly not speak to each other then. Thank you. Okay, item 4, confirm the draft minutes of the meeting of the 21st of November. We happy to agree? Right, that's great, thank you. So we'll go straight to item 5, the Police Scotland Ward Report. We'll go to, is it Russell or Fiona? Russell, we'll go to Russell. Morning, Russell. Okay.
Everyone. So for those that don't know myself, I'm Russell Rosie, my colleague here is Fiona Bell, and we are the community officers for the ward area of Broxburn, Uphall and Winchburgh. In terms of what we're going to discuss today with yourselves, the policing priorities are namely protecting the most vulnerable people, reducing violence, antisocial behaviour, reducing acquisitive crime, improving road safety and tackling serious and organised crime. So within the quarter, in terms of protecting the most vulnerable people, we are still continuing to actively try and support and push the knowledge in regards to the banking protocol. For those that don't know, this is essentially a safeguarding initiative which is designed to protect and safeguard vulnerable individuals in regards to mainly doorstep crime from bogus callers and also online crime in regards to mostly fraud type incidents. From that, there was 10 occasions that have been identified and noted where there was a successful prevention of £45,000, which were prevented from essentially being transferred to online criminals. However, on the flip side of that, unfortunately, there were still persons identified and targeted, which led to £83,000 being lost. And again, we're going back to, we are trying to push that message out via numerous, social media campaigns, or if we attend certain meetings, and we can try and hand out leaflets, etc., and try and get the knowledge out there to prevent such crimes from taking place. Myself and Fiona, along with other officers within the ward, were still attending the high schools. So again, within this ward, so it's got Broxburn Academy, Winchburgh, trying to talk about numerous topics to the kids. We've talked about numerous inputs and topics from domestic abuse, bystander, internet safety, which is a big one, hate crime, knife crime. We're also doing visits to the local primary schools, again, talking about who we are, what we do, and again, internet safety, road safety, and cyberbullying. Again, Fiona and I have also popped into the nurseries to show face. Again, it's all trying to do the positive engagement and try to get that positive interaction with ourselves. In terms of reducing violence and antisocial behaviour, certainly the main one for ourselves within this quarter was the lead up to and bonfire night itself. As usual, we work with the fire service heavily with this one, doing numerous visits, again going back to the schools, talking about that, and also to licensed premises in regards to who are selling the fireworks. So in total, I think over across the board there was 12 secondary schools, obviously, which included Winchburgh and Broxburn, that were visited, and from that it was agreed that it was a really positive outcome from previous years in regards to the kind of the youth offences we were seeing previously from now. So it seems to have had a positive impact doing that. Our local bonfire operation is what we call it, is Operation Torsion. Again, we try and promote Crime Stopper and intel to the community so people can report stuff to us anonymously. Certainly from that, we received a lot of information of where fireworks were potentially being stored, either in big containers or at home addresses, which resulted in quite a large couple of seizures from that information that came in from the public, which again, no doubt would have had a helping hand on call demand for ourselves and the fire service. Again, from that, we were working with the West Lothian PSYV, again doing letter drops, handing out flyers to the kids who were maybe seen hanging about in the area in groups. And from, I think, Bonfire Night itself, there was 55 related calls to either fireworks or fires themselves being lit. I think the main incident from one of the calls was that a bus window was smashed by a group of youths who I'm being told are still being yet to be identified from that. In terms of antisocial behaviour, it's the same, but there's always ongoing neighbour disputes. We're trying our best to deal with them as best we can. Again, working with multiple agencies such as the council, housing department, etc., and making arrests or providing advice as best we can when we can. And in terms of, again, antisocial behaviour, we're still getting a lot of complaints for off-road bikes, unfortunately. I think at the moment Stuartfield Park and Broxburn's still having issues with that, and the Broxburn United Club are, they're well on board. We're speaking to them regularly. They're quite proactive with, they're happy to call us and provide information when they can. I'll pass you on if you want. Yeah, just if, again, just maybe off topic, what in terms of the inquiries, what you're helping us, we now have body-worn cameras, which are a new thing that was brought out within this quarter. So essentially any incident that we now attend will be getting recorded on these devices. Certainly there's been a positive impact so far, both from the community and ourselves, that everything is in black and white in terms of it's recorded, and it's certainly been a good tool that we've been using so far. Thank you.
Thank you, Russell. Fiona?
Thank you, Chair. So for reducing acquisitive crime, West Lothian has experienced a significant increase in incidents of shoplifting across the division. In response, we've another operation initiative, Operation Jackdaw, was developed in collaboration with local businesses. So a lot of it is education as well, trying to work with the Retail Crime Task Force as well. They're a national body, so they also have a lot of information we feed back and forward between ourselves and them. You can see there a total of 133 individual offenders have been identified, and that's West Lothian as a whole. In the area where we work, we are aware of certain individuals who are creating a lot of work targeting certain shops, so we are also trying to solve the issues there, working with the offenders, working with the businesses. So a lot of it, repeat offenders, a lot of times. So as well as working with the shops, we're also trying to work with the court system as well, Justice Department, to see what can be put in place and bring people to justice as well. We've got the continue to share online safety, home safety as well, like the online safety, about doorstep fraudsters as well, bogus workmen, asking people at different meetings that we go to if they would like the stickers to put on their doors. People still do like these. It just, some people are not so sure, but other people just like that. Just gives them a bit of security, so they've got that, and hopefully people take note of it. Russell and I also went up to Falkildeen. There was some issues there, and we've completed a crime prevention survey. Again, offering advice, trying to provide other means that people can use to protect themselves and their property. We're also involved in what's called the Architectural Liaison Officer work, ALOs, and that involves us going to building sites, predominantly new housing developments which are getting built. And the purpose of our being there is really to design out crime as well. So all your rat runs that people might typically run away, trying to look at areas where would-be offenders could maybe target people's properties. So looking maybe, for example, if grit bin, something as simple as that, a grit bin potentially beside somebody's garden. So then you've got the grit bin and then a fence there. So the grit bin could obviously be used as a stepping stone to then potentially gain access to a garden. So it doesn't need to be anything totally mind-blowing, but sometimes just simple steps to reduce the crime potential there. Moving on to improving road safety. We have had some complaints in different areas. Newton recently as well, really concerned about the volume of traffic and sometimes the speed of traffic there. I'm obviously aware that they've got the traffic lights which do sort of go to red generally every time I'm approaching them, but we're still ongoing concerns. We try to give the area attention. We've asked our roads policing colleagues as well if they're in the area, just to even sometimes just parking up the vehicle and having a walk, being visible. So hopefully, again, to give reassurance to the local population as much as we can, but also to try and deter any people from speeding, especially given the size of the main street there. We're still involved, as we always are, with tickets as well, all your known hotspots, and it's just constant. We do give out tickets for people being on your single yellow lines, double yellow lines, but we can't be everywhere all of the time, so we're still relying on people's own responsibility to park, but it's just constant. And then for that, it's just trying to measure people's expectations, local people living in the area compared to other people who are using the areas for parking as well. We have got the speed gun as well, which we try and get out with as much as we can, further deterrence hopefully. Moving on to tackling serious and organised crime. So one of the departments which we have in West Lothian, the proactive crime team, they continue to look at the serious and organised crime groups operating within a division and getting good results there. A lot of the information that they work on is intelligence-led, which is obviously fed back to us, like Russell's already said, via Crime Stoppers potentially, which is anonymous. Anybody can contact them. And that then results in various sort of Section 23 drugs hits as well, which again has good effects across the division. We're obviously aware of Operation Virion as well. That was established in response to theft house break-ins which occur within division. And from that, so a lot of Asian gold has been targeted as well. I think that brings me to the end of the report as it is, Chair, and we're happy to take any questions, please.
That's great. Thank you, Fiona. Do we have any questions? Tony?
Thanks, Fiona. I'm not looking at the table for the offence or the categories. There's only really 2 compared to, in fact, there's only 2 in that category, in the whole list, that are down compared to the same period last year. And that is the housebreaking in other premises and also the vandalism, which is good. Any idea why there's just been a general... I know we're not talking about a lot, right? But any idea why there's been a general increase?
I think given... I can't say for certain. I think the type of year sometimes determine an influx in the crime type. So, for example, like we're saying, if it was bonfire night, the chances are we are going to get a higher increase in fires or similar type of offences being recorded. Sometimes, for example, I think if you look at the dwelling house break-ins, I mean that's saying it's 250% up.
Yeah.
Again, is that due to the time of night? You're getting the darker nights, etc. The premises may be more vulnerable. Off the top of my head, I can.
But it's just sorry. Yeah.
Of course.
It's the Is this what you're?
Yeah, I know.
Comparison for exactly the same period last year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. No, I can't say for certain at this moment in time. I mean, I don't know if it's due to the lack of resources potentially, or resources being used for elsewhere, or for whatever else.
Is that happening across other council wards, or is that more kind to the Broxburn ward?
I haven't seen the stats for the other wards, unfortunately, but yeah, I can certainly feed back to you. I can have a look for sure. And
thanks.
Let you know, no problem.
Yeah. And Fiona, although Newton is out with our council ward, I believe that the 40 mile an hour speed limit is being extended to the west.
Yeah.
So rather than just come around the corner and see the speed limit sign, it'll be 40 before it. So. And
they also have a good pavement now all the way to Winchburgh, and equally for Winchburgh residents, if they want to walk up to Newton, they can do that quite easily now, safely.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Tony. Mike, you have a question?
Yes, I've got a number of questions I'd like to ask you. I'm curious, on the banking protocol that was invoked 10 times, what triggers that?
The bank?
Yeah.
I mean, certainly for example. Yeah, so for example, sometimes, there'll be individuals who will attend a property, befriend the vulnerable person within that property, and then they'll essentially coercively talk them to handing over a sum of money for that person need to go to the bank to do that. And then the bank, if they are concerned or if they think something's a bit off, they contact themselves.
Right.
You can attend. And again, I believe it's the same for online stuff. You get informed about that.
Okay. So preventing £45,000 from being lost, that's commendable. So well done. And see the 83k that's been lost. Is there a key scam that fraudsters are using?
I think just now we're seeing email scams, text messages get sent out now. A lot of stuff is all online. For it to be online, it's almost like you don't have to be seen. It's a faceless crime, not a physical person there, and people can click on the wrong thing. Sometimes you get these ads that come up, and then you click on them, and then you end up getting your bank details and things like that. And people, are happy to buy certain things or provide money to an account. And again, sometimes people get befriended, and people will make up a story of, can you lend me a sum of £10,000? I'll pay you back. It's to help my family here and there, and people do that.
Maybe worth highlighting there as well about Neighbourhood Watch. The Neighbourhood Watch, if people join up to that, they can receive emails on a regular basis, and that highlights any scams that are known to the general population, so that people are aware of that as well.
your community involvement.
Sorry, Mike, just before you carry on, Russell, I've been asked by the IT if you could just make sure that you're
Mike.
facing the mics just so people can hear
No
what
problem.
you're saying. That's great, thank you. Mike, if you'd like to carry on.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Fiona.
It was good to see you with your community involvement. There was a few councillors here, met the team at Diwali in Broxburn, so that was good. So moving on to your road safety, you mentioned the A89 speeding. Did you use the speed gun there at all? Because we do have a problem in Broxburn where we have road bikes that are screaming along the road from Station Road to Killpunt roundabout, coming round and speeding back. It's like a race. Have you been out in that area at all?
We've not used the press my button.
I think that's one. It's on.
It's on. It's just that you've got to make sure that you're facing it. That's all.
Thank you.
That's all. It was just Karen had said that she couldn't hear. So
Yeah, so we personally haven't used the speed camera. I think some of our colleagues have. However, I sound like I'm a broken record, but we know it's a big issue with off-road bikes everywhere within the division. It has been for years, and I personally believe it's just getting worse because more people are getting access to them. Obviously, we have the e-bikes as well and the e-scooters. We do absolutely recognise the concerns that local people have. And again, it's balancing it. People are getting access to the bikes, they're not registered. And again, we would just ask for any information from any local people who may know where these bikes are being kept, who's using them, to feed back to us so that we can take any action possible to us.
Okay, staying with the bikes, as well as the road bikes screaming along the A89, in Broxburn and Uphall, I've seen the e-scooters that you mentioned. Your report doesn't mention the bikes, although Russell did mention the bikes, especially the lighter bikes that are ripping up Stewartfield Park. The pitches there, that's affecting the local community and the Broxburn United Sports Club. And then there's the heavier bikes that go up the bings. A lot of those bikes get fueled up at the Shell Killpunt fueling station. Have you ever policed that area to find any illegal bikes?
Previously, again, we have. We've previously held operations, and when we have done it, it has been a success. But for that, you are needing a substantial amount of officers at times to do that. So, for example, during the operation, I think maybe last year, I think there was officers actually stationed at the petrol station. And then there was officers kind of up at the bang as well, and then there was officers patrolling the 89 also. Certainly, in my experience, the best way to sometimes get hold of these bikers is actually when they're fueling up at the petrol station, because there'll be CCTV 9 times out of 10 of them driving on the road to go into the petrol station to fuel up, and then they're obviously getting off to do that, and you can kind of get a hold of them.
A
lot of them know that if they see us and we try and stop to try and engage them, they just take off. And they know that we can't prosecute if we don't have identification. They'll always a lot of the time be helmeted up.
Yeah, because a lot of them come along the footpath on the bike after fueling up.
It goes back to we're relying on a lot of kind of community involvement and engagement to again anonymously tell us that it's ABC who's got access to these bikes, and we can do intel from there and try and catch them and seize the bike essentially.
Okay, still sticking with your road safety, you mentioned regular patrols, parking enforcement activities, paying attention to complaints of inconsiderate parking, particularly in the Broxburn centre, because I live there and I see it all the time, bad parking, particularly at the bus stop outside Scott Mid. You often see white vans there, and the guys getting out and going and getting breakfast rolls because they can't be bothered going round into the car park. Sometimes I've seen 5 vehicles parked in, and this is a serious road safety issue because buses cannot get in to pick up passengers, forcing passengers onto the road. Why do you think this inconsiderate parking is still continuing?
like you've said yourself, people do that. They think they're just going to be there for a couple of minutes. They nip in. But obviously, people parking in bus stops, and again, it's throughout the whole division where we work, that then causes issues for buses. It causes issues for people who can't just step off the road, step off the bus onto the road. They maybe need the step up. So again, we are aware of it. We give as much attention as we can to the different areas where we work. We do ticket people. We try and speak to people. But again, it just seems if it's not that particular car that's in the bus stop or on double yellow lines, then it's a different vehicle which is very quick and happy to somehow take that space, knowing it's a contravention of the offence.
So if a member of the public took photographs and emailed them to you, would you be able to take any action?
It's a very difficult one because we only, like yourselves, we only have so many hours in a day. We try as much as we can. We try and be visible. We walk around different town centres especially. But what people just essentially park wherever they choose when they don't see somebody wearing a high vis.
Yeah, okay. Right, thanks, Fiona. Thanks, Russell.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
And thank you for your answers. Janet?
Thank you both very much indeed for a really comprehensive report. I've got a few questions as well, if you don't mind. I did also want to say myself, Mike and Tony, I think we're delighted to have been invited to the Valley in Broxburn, and I know that the Indian community were very appreciative of your support of that event. So I'm not sure if Rashmi or any of them have passed that on, but I can pass that on today. They were delighted that you actually attended, so thank you. In terms of the reducing violence and antisocial behaviour, that is really interesting. In quarter 4, Graham Armstrong spoke at Broxburn Academy. Have you plans to repeat that, or will he be speaking to pupils in other secondary schools throughout West Lothian?
Yeah, unfortunately, I never had any involvement in that personally. But from what I've heard that again, it was a very positive message that was sent out.
Sure.
A lot taken from it. So much so that I think it was going to be repeated around.
Good.
But, I think when you're speaking to somebody, as police we can advise, etc. and
Yep.
try and give the best advice we can. But when you're actually speaking to somebody who's been there and done it, and then is telling their story about how to try and how that person's maybe changed their life around and stuff, I think it sends a powerful message also.
It does have a much bigger impact, so that's really interesting, and thanks for including that.
So I think we're going to try and repeat that.
Good, thank you. In terms of reducing acquisitive crime, you've said here that there's been a significant increase in incidents of shoplifting. And whilst I appreciate 13 prolific offenders have been responsible, there were a total of 133 individual offenders, which is still 120 people. Does this have anything to do with the cost of living crisis that we are experiencing? Well, we have been experiencing for some time, but continue to experience. Is it foodstuffs for it that are being shoplifted? I suppose that's what I'm trying to ask, or children's supplies.
A lot of items which we're aware of, it's a lot of alcohol generally. I would say that the main item is alcohol, or, for example, more expensive meats, maybe some washing up liquids. Coffee. To the extent that some shops now, you've maybe seen yourselves, the shops are actually starting to put these items in special containers as well, with the tags on.
Mm-hmm. I think so like we've mentioned, myself and Fiona, we are crime prevention survey trained, so we were going into the supermarkets and trying to see what we could identify as maybe being an issue. One of the stores, for example, was selling £100 toothbrushes.
Really?
Yeah, and they were on display just to be taken, essentially. So they were the toothbrushes. You were maybe reading 4 products and then seeing 400, like what, and it was the toothbrushes were getting stolen.
One of the other problems is a lot of shops, because they're national stores, they have certain positions in the shop so that all the shops are the same if anyone needs to go into a particular shop. So to that end, maybe stores at different places for whatever reason don't have issues with alcohol, for example, but then we were going into some of our local stores and finding that alcohol and other more highly valued items were so close to the door, so it's easy for people just to sort of run in and out. Or they're working in teams as well. One person stands beside the door so that it's easy for the other person to nip in, run away with whatever items. We're looking at different door styles as well. Some supermarkets have, like their fire doors, for example, which maybe have a time delay on them, unless obviously it was a real fire and then they would action straight away. But if it's somebody stealing items, then it's not so easy for them just to run out a side door.
We're trying to, if these offenders are kind of fixated and going in, they're going to take something.
Yeah.
It's trying to set up the shop, from our advice anyway, as best they can to limit that. So again, going back to the toothbrushes, because we couldn't believe it, but you now have to ask staff if you want that tooth, you now have to speak to a member of staff and they go through the back. The more expensive alcohol, certainly to my knowledge, they're not shelving out 15 bottles at the back. There'll maybe be 3 or 4 out, and if they run out, the staff are going to top it up, or you maybe need to ask a member of staff to get it. It's just because some of the offenders, I mean, we were getting the CCTV, they're in and out in 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. They've got like hundreds and hundreds of pounds of alcohol, and they're doing that daily. Mm-hmm. When you go over the weeks, they're in the thousands of pounds, and that's just one person.
Sure.
And at the end of the day as well, we're concerned about keeping the shop workers safe and any other members of the public as well.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, no, thank you for that. I don't know who would pay £100 for a toothbrush, but thank you. You learn something every day. I did also want to ask you about the off-road bikes. I had a meeting with the guys at BUSC last week, and I'm going back next week to meet with them. You'll be aware that they had another incident a couple of weeks ago, and that resulted in matches that weekend for young people having to be abandoned because of the antisocial behaviour and the basically criminal behaviour, tearing up the pitch. So have you been to visit BUSC? Is there anything that you can suggest that we could be doing to try to eliminate the possibility?
We make as much press attention to all the vulnerable premises in our area as much as we can at any time. But like everything that we deal with, it's generally you've got to be there at the right time to catch people. And it all comes back to as well with the off-road bikes. There's only certain powers that are available to us, and we're not able to pursue them, for example.
I had raised this before, I think it was potentially with the community sergeant, and what he said was some of the guys had sent me photographs of the offenders with the number plate visible. And what he said was that if the guys send the photographs with a statement that they witnessed that person tearing up the pitch, that can be acted upon.
There's a number plate then, yes. Mm-hmm. Use road traffic legislation.
With a statement from the witness.
Person.
Right, okay, thank you, no, that's good. I did pass that on to them, and hopefully they will be doing that if they're able to, if they actually see the folks.
What you will find, it's difficult for people living in the community, because as much as the off-road bikes are causing issues, but it's difficult for people also to give a statement.
I know.
Then that makes them very much involved.
Exactly. I know. I think these guys, though, are so scunnered, I suppose, to use a colloquial term, that they will actually now be prepared to do that. So, but thank you for taking that seriously. And obviously, the Bing, in terms of the Bings, is it Robert Mortimer? He's involved with the Bings group, and he has been very helpful as well.
Yeah.
In terms of tackling serious and organised crime, and suppose drug supply, is there evidence? I had reported fairly within the last 2 or 3 months a potential county lines gang operating in Broxburn. Do we know if there are any of these offenders sort of cuckooing people and moving in to the area, to our ward?
Aware of any?
I'm not aware of that. Certainly, I wasn't personally made aware of that information.
Okay. It was a potential. I don't, as I say, I'm not sure if the situation.
Certainly, routinely, myself and Fiona are tasked with It might even be for cannabis. We often get asked to do what we call maybe a walk past sniff test.
Sure. Yeah.
The information you're receiving could be credible or not. So we routinely do that. And again, the proactive team, they're the main officers that tend to deal with the drugs warrants, so they effectively activate on these warrants. And yeah, they're doing that day in, day out, all over kind of West Lothian. But it does include obviously Broxburn as well.
Yeah, of course.
So, but again, it's mostly intel led. So we
Mostly
intel led. So we're always encouraging the community to, if they do have any concerns or if they've got information they wish to pass on.
Could I speak to you after could I just ask, this is just for my knowledge, what's an MDA warrant? Is that a drug warrant?
Just misuse of drugs.
Oh, of course, yeah, okay, thank you. And again, just out of interest, is that a shipping container was buried underground? Is that one of the...
In regards to what drugs? I think Whitburn, was it not?
It's in Whitburn.
I never mentioned that specifically.
Was that actually one of the large containers? But so there must have been earth moving equipment used to...
Yeah, I think there was.
Okay. Okay, thank you, thanks.
Right, thank you. So I think there's been a lot of questions been asked. I do have a few, may repeat some of what my colleagues have said, but we'll go with it anyways. So we will first start with shoplifting. So I had a few, sorry, I didn't have a few. I seen with my own eyes a few folks, go into Tesco in Broxburn, take out boxes of wine, run away, back out the door, and nobody would chase them. Do you get that report? Do the shops...
Is that you talking from, so staff members are not proactively...
Yeah. And when I asked why that would be, they would say, well, the person at Tesco had said to me that they have been told not to chase after someone that's walked out with a box of wine. And they're talking a box of wine.
It's generally their company policy as well to keep their staff safe.
Right.
And yeah, we actively encourage shops to report everything, because clearly if there's only one shop making a report over maybe, for example, whatever value of money, but that's only telling us part of the picture, because if that same offender is maybe going into multiple places, then we've got more to put towards the court.
So do we get a lot of reports from the Tesco's in Broxburn?
Yeah.
I think that is the question.
From various places, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we always encourage the staff, because if it's not getting reported to ourselves and if we don't know about it, we'll assume that it's not happened, essentially, unless we've physically seen it ourselves. So we always encourage, regardless of how small the value of the item would be, just report, because like Fiona was saying there, that person might be small value at that store, but the chances are maybe that they've also been around all the other local businesses and doing the same thing, and then you'll quickly find that the value ends up adding up to quite a substantial amount. But yeah, no, we experience that. I think that's across the board to all the businesses. I believe that they're just happy to observe it, let the offender leave, and then report it.
Yeah, and that's absolutely right. I certainly wouldn't be chasing someone for a box of wine either, but I just wanted to make sure that they are reporting it then to the police.
Yeah, no, absolutely, yeah, and they're certainly encouraged to do so. Yeah,
that's great. Okay, so we have spoke about drug hits, and what I would like to see, I think it's a real positive thing that we're getting a lot of information on social media from Police Scotland for West Lothian, and I know that the things that I read, it's showing us about the drug busts that have happened, and the amount and the quantity, of how much drugs have been found. Do we get a lot of intelligence from social media to act upon for that bust?
In regards to the information coming from social media itself, as in from persons contacting the police via
yes, absolutely,
social media. So
basically, you'll see probably something this week that will say, there's been a drugs bust over in Broxburn or Whitburn or wherever it may be.
Yep.
And then with that information, do people then come forward and say, well, actually, there's something happening in Blackburn, there's something happening. I'm just plucking those areas out there. But other areas.
We work on our own intelligence system, so all that information gets fed into that kind of remotely, and then it's all stored.
Right.
But again, yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, social media now is it's a massive tool. Everyone's on it essentially. So, like you say, if we're highlighting that, I don't know, a drugs warrant's been executed in a certain area, it certainly highlights to the community and to the nearby residents of that area that this has been targeted, and if there's other things ongoing, it makes them aware that, again, they can report it to us anonymously, and then we can carry out another inquiry in regards to that information.
All right, that's great. Thanks, Russell, for that. I'm not going to go and speak about Stuart Field bikes because I think my colleagues have done that. The other one that I would like to touch on is you have spoke about resources quite a few times in different situations. Do you feel that we have enough resource when it comes to police officers, and what can we do to maybe look at, doing, I'm not entirely sure what I'm trying. Right, so we know that there's not enough resources for police. And if there were to be enough resources, I would imagine that, a lot more people would get tickets on their cars. You would manage to get to different
I think
incidents, etc.
Yeah, from my own experience, so we do days of action. So, for example, if we were to do a day of action for ticketing, or if it was going to be a day of action to try and target off-road bikes, and then the challenges we face in regards to that, because you do, again, my experience would say that if you have more officers in that certain area that's been reported about, you've got a higher chance of actually catching an offender doing so. But then, I mean, we get abstracted. We've got court citations, annual leave, sickness, and what we find is quite hard to get, for example, maybe 8 to 10 officers together at the same shift to then go and carry out a day of action. But certainly when we do it, it's always beneficial, and there is always. I'd go as far as saying it's always a positive result we get when we do it. Like I think the last one I was involved in up in the Bing, we actually had officers out from Edinburgh who actually were on off-road bikes from Police Scotland, kind of in and around the area of the Bing. We had roads policing involved. Again, like I said earlier, we had officers sitting at the petrol station. Because at some point on a Saturday morning, if it's a lovely day, that these bikes are going to appear from somewhere. And it's just like it's like anything, the more officers you have in that area, then the chances are you're going to get a result from it.
Okay, so you're doing a great job with little resource, though. That's probably what I'm trying to get to. You need to pull it from different areas, and then that's making their resource quite scarce.
Yeah, there's essentially a lot of juggling that has to go involved to try and get these officers together to carry out that kind of action, if that makes sense. Yeah,
no, that's fine, thank you. Okay, you spoke about the cameras, the body cameras that you are wearing. So give us a wee bit more information about the body wear cameras that you are wearing at the moment, because this is just new, isn't it? Yes?
We get them.
What was this, sorry?
Remember when we got them?
I think it was November.
October.
I think they got issued in November. Yeah.
To coin the phrase, a picture speaks 1,000 words, and they're audio and visually recorded as well. So clearly, any time that we go into, anywhere we are with people, we would make them aware that they are recording. These as well generally have it's like a beep that you can hear. I believe it's every 90 seconds to highlight that it is still recording.
So it's a good thing, it's positive.
Yeah. I think from across the board anyway, from the officers that we speak to, I think that it does change the behaviour of individuals if they know they're being recorded. So, and again, I think it's to try and, like if we're going back to, if we're trying to get a day of action, for example, for the bikes or whatever it is, we are submitting the footage to the court. And I think it's to try and cut down officers going to court, and it's to cut down the abstractions. So, if we're on days off and then we get cancelled for court, or if our shift has to get changed because of a court appearance, for example. But I think it's definitely helping in that regard.
That's good. That's really good. One last question on that. So we'll stick with cameras. So on social media, there's a lot of people out there that will actually film the police when they're going up to the police to ask a question, or if there's an incident happen, they'll be filming the police. What I would like to ask is, one, has this happened to you guys? and how do you handle that? And is that something that the public can do? Because, I mean, I would think that that's like, you know, being quite disrespectful towards you guys. And I know that when I was a kid, I certainly, when I went to a police officer with a camera, I started speaking to him and, you know, saying to them, you know, if police say, you know, put that camera down.
Yeah, I think unfortunately in this day and age, that's no
law again.
It's kind of tends to be what I mean. I just kind of expect to get recorded now. It's not a shock to me. It is what it is.
In addition to that, we obviously most people, a lot of people have Ring doorbells, Ring camera of some description. So we are very much aware of anywhere we are. We probably are being filmed by someone. What they do with that footage, we don't know. And some people, it's almost feels like a bit of a goading tool on their part sometimes. If we are trying to deal with an incident, deal with people, and then you have other of their associates maybe nearby recording everything.
Yeah. How do you deal with that, Fiona? That's the part that I would like to know. Because I see a lot of it in social media, and they are more nuisance than helpful. Because, you know, the police are trying to get on with what they're trying to do, and these folks are recording. And there's nothing in your powers that can tell them to stop doing that.
Ultimately, we can ask them and try and reason with them, but then, you know, we've also got the incident at hand to deal with, so that needs to be our focus.
Yeah.
And just deal with any fallout afterwards.
Yeah, we do. There are certain powers. If somebody was repeatedly not listening and coming back, I mean, we do have the power of obstruction if we're trying to do our job, and there is an arrestable offence for obstruction, but I think we try and speak to the schools. That's what we say. We've been at the high schools and the primary schools, because again, you see it online now. For example, if there's a fight breaks out, you know, there's people are just the thing to do now is get the phone out and record it, live stream it. I know, yeah, the schools are having a challenging time with that, but again, it's just trying to get that message across that, you know, why not try and help, you know, split it up, try and help the person rather than filming it and laughing or whatever.
It's equally, like, sometimes if we go to an incident, we would clearly be asking people, well, have you got CCTV? Is there anything? So if somebody does legitimately have recordings of the incident that we're looking at and can hand it over to us, then of course that could be seen as helpful. But ultimately, like, things in the school, though, if there is a fight breaks out and people are recording that and they're just not using it in what you consider proper terms.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you both. Tony, we have a question from Tony.
No, it's more an observation. Were you aware, or was there an electric scooter confiscated a couple of weeks ago? Because I came round the roundabout at the riding school, going away to Uphall, and on the right-hand side where the blacksmith used to be, there was a traffic car with two police officers out of it, and they were holding this scooter, with I presume the person who was on it taking a selfie. Everybody, were you aware? Was that bike?
Yeah, no, I've not been here the last 2 months, unfortunately. You know,
I'm unaware, councillor.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tony. Okay, have we got any other questions? Any comments? So there's no comments from the other members. So I'd just like to thank you both for coming here today and for your time. It's been lovely seeing the both of you and getting a report from the both of you. So thank you very much for answering our questions.
Yeah, thank you, Chair.
You can either stay and listen to the rest of the meeting, or you can go.
We do actually have things to attend to, so if it's okay, we'll
That's great. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your time, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're all happy to note the report. Thank you. So we'll go on to item 6, Scottish Fire and Rescue, and we're going to Jerry. Thank you, Jerry.
Thanks, Chair. I'm going to read out the fire service report for the quarter for the area. First of all, the summary of incidents. We had a total of 69 incidents in the area, 13 of them being fires, 9 non-fire incidents, 46 false alarms, 2 people were rescued by the fire service. We done 11 home fire safety visits in the area and 3 fire safety audits. Moving on to the trends, there were no worrying trends with all the worrying accidental fires, dwelling fires being down from the previous quarter. Moving on to the KPIs. We had, as I said, we had 3 accidental dwelling fires, and a breakdown of them was 2 were cooking appliances and 1 was unknown. We had 0 fatalities and casualties in that period for fires. Non-fire casualties were 1, and they were treated in hospital for slight injuries for a head injury. 2 people were rescued by the fire service. Deliberate fires in that period were 7 for the area, and they were broken down as 2 dwelling fires, 2 grassland and woodlands, 2 refuse fires, and 1 road vehicle fire. We had 0 non-domestic fires. We had 11 unwanted fire alarm signals, and they were broken down as 7 student halls of residence, 2 sheltered housing, 1 education, and 1 residential home. We had 1 road traffic collision in that period. And we, as I said earlier, we carried out 11 home fire safety visits, 3 audits, 1 consultation, and 1 short post-fire audit. Moving on to the community engagement. The fire service continues to promote home fire safety visits with the public and partner agencies targeting those most at risk within communities. Following each domestic incident, the affected household and neighbouring properties are engaged with to offer fire safety advice. With water engagement, a number of parts were visited in that period of time, and water safety advice was given. Road safety, in West Lothian 50 plus group visited Bathgate Fire Station and received road safety information, with SFRS personnel promoting regular health and eyesight checks to support safe road use. We continue to support the Risk Factory, where primary age young people from West Lothian are provided with safety education and presented with lifelike scenarios to help them manage risk in their day-to-day lives. During Q3, a number of station visits were carried out at Livingston and Bathgate Fire Station to receive fire safety information, including Cub and Scout groups and those with additional support needs. We, in the fire service, we supported the SPFL Festive Friends, was hosted by Livingston Football Club, where elderly people in the area were invited to attend a Christmas dinner served by Scottish Fire and Rescue Service and Police Scotland personnel to combat loneliness and isolation. In the period of time, it was bonfire, as my colleagues in Police Scotland, and we visited all primary schools and secondary schools in the wider West Lothian area, with schools visited in the Broxburn, Uphall and Winchburgh areas included Broxburn Academy, Winchburgh Academy, Kirkhill Primary, Uphall Primary and St Nicholas Primary. That's the conclusion of the report. I invite any questions.
Thank you, Jerry. Do we have any questions for Jerry? Tony?
Thanks, Jerry. Good report. The trend for everything seems to be going down. When you're doing home safety visits, how often these days do you find that they've not got the appropriate alarms installed?
It really, we're only going to high risk to do the home fire safety visits now. So most high risk people have already been seen. Either all council properties have got linked alarms. We still, every home fire safety visit we carry out, we fit linked alarms if they've not got them. It's very much on the we're not as fitting as many just now, which is telling us we've fitted most high risk in the area, and we've got that covered. So I would say less so than when the legislation took place. We're finding that most people have got the right detection now.
Do you think they've contributed? Do you think these alarms and having them in a LAC installed has helped to contribute to the reduction in the number of fires? In other words, if there's a fire in the kitchen or something going wrong in the kitchen, the alarm goes off and they manage to deal with it quickly rather than having a fire that's spread.
Yeah, I would say it's not bringing down the numbers. It's only giving you that early warning. So I think fires will still happen, but as you said, maybe the spread will not be as severe, and hopefully there'll be less fatalities because you're getting that early warning system.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Janet?
Thank you, Chair. Could I just ask, in terms of accidental dwelling fires, it's down to 3 in quarter 3, but in quarter 2 there were 7. Do you know what? Is there any specific reason for causing the spike, or?
Accidental dwelling fires from the previous quarter was 7.
Yes.
No, not really, because it's a dwelling fire. It's not like deliberate fires where we expect a seasonal sort of spike.
Yep. Yeah.
So if there were a spike there, we would look to get information out there and do like community sort of events to try and but I wouldn't say there was any particular
specific reason.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I just wondered if there was something happening that that people were doing, if it was in terms of charging electronic devices or leaving. And I remember a fireman telling me that one of the big reasons for accidental dwelling fires was leaving chargers plugged in but no phone attached. And I just wondered if there was a specific reason. But thank you for that. And in terms of unwanted fire alarm signals, that was down to 11 in the previous quarter 3. I used to live in a nurse's home, so I know all about unwanted fire alarm signals. But is there what is the main cause? Are these I presume these are non-domestic properties?
Yes, these are non-domestic properties, because you see we've got false alarms as 46. But the unwanted false alarms,
yep,
they're the ones we don't want.
Yep.
False alarms in homes, we encourage people to, if they're not sure, if they hear a smoke detector going, so we don't really want them coming down. However, I can get breakdowns for every unwanted fault.
It'd just be useful to see where, if there is, again, if there's a specific type of building or whatever that would make up the bulk of these unwanted signals. That would be useful, that's all.
Yep, there's actually a breakdown. So we've got student halls of residence.
Right, okay.
7, shelter housing 2, 1 education building and 1 residential home.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I presume that's Oak Ridge College, is it? Or?
Yeah, I could get further breakdown if you...
That's okay. No, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? So I have a little question for you. So first and foremost, thank you for your report and thank you for your time. A constituent has raised with me not so long ago that there has been comment made that local fire stations will be closing following a review. However, nothing officially will be said before May is elections, and it won't be shared. This information will not be shared. So is there is it something that you're aware of? And can you confirm if Broxburn Fire Station is being considered in this review? Jerry?
Yeah, it's something I'm not aware of for Broxburn. I know there's a review in terms of fire cover in the whole of Scotland, and it's to get the appliances. The fire service was built in the risks of 70 years ago, and there's a review to try and get fire engines in the right place for Scotland today. But I'm not aware of any specifics.
Okay, as I said, it was a constituent raised this with me, and they are very concerned in regards to this, because they're saying if there's fire stations going to be closing, and I do believe there was 2 in Edinburgh that they spoke about. If these 2 fire stations are closed, then when a fire is, when someone reports a fire, then where's the fire? What fire station would we be using if Broxburn's closing, if Edinburgh's closing? So I just wanted to ask if you were aware of that. I think what was concerning to me was that there was nothing official will be made until after the May elections. I just felt that was quite concerning. But anyway, listen, thank you very much for your time with that. Thank you. Any other questions, Janet? Sorry, it's just we're asking questions at the moment. So if you've got a question, but it's not a comment, I'll bring you in for comment if that's all right. Thank you. Any other questions? No questions. So Janet, you can ask your question.
I have a comment then, Chair, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And it's remiss of me not to say this earlier, Jerry, but well done to Scottish Fire and Rescue for your reaction to the unfortunate fire in Glasgow City Central. Glasgow Central Station recently. It was a wonderful effort from Scottish Fire and Rescue, and one that we should all be proud of you guys. So thank you very much. It's a part of my childhood that's gone. I'm not from Glasgow, but we used to go through at Christmas time, and I remember the Iron Brew advert very fondly. So it's a real tragedy, but well done to you guys for your response.
That's great. Any other comments? No. So Jerry, thank you so much for this report. Are we all happy to note the report? Thank you. Jerry, if you want to stay and...
I've got another meeting.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. You can go. Thank you very much. And we'll go on to item 7, housing and building services. Phyllis, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. For anybody who doesn't know, my name is Phyllis McFadden. I'm the local housing manager at Broxburn, here to provide the report today. We'll start off with our income collection, which continues to be one of our main focuses of work to ensure customers are supported to pay their rent and sustain their tenancy, and that officers maintain good income collection. By sustaining this income collection for the housing revenue account, it lets us support delivery for repairs, service, investment in stock, and ensuring that essential health and safety compliance for gas and electrical safety is delivered, and providing a safe, wind and watertight home for our tenants. As you can see in Appendix 1 for Q3, the ward continues with a good income collection rate of 96.5%. Based on the same period this year, we've had a reduction of £24,581 from the same period this time last year. We're able to do that by making sure that we have early intervention, so as early point as possible, contacting our tenants, making them aware, if they're not already, that they've fallen into rent arrears. We will proceed with a series of letters, visits, all kind of contact attempts as is set out here, email, phone call, in-person visits, text messages, to make sure that we're giving tenants as much advice and assistance as possible. That could be around universal credit, benefit maximisation, if people are in debt and require specialist assistance, and we can do that with liaison with our colleagues in the advice shop, who provide a really great support to ourselves and our tenants to make sure that we are helping where we can to prevent arrears escalating where possible. As you can see from the case distribution list, along with the reduction, there is a bit of a mix between our mainstream and arrears as we identify that, and people who are in receipt of universal credit. And as you can see, for the mainstream arrears, the cases, there was an increase of 14 tenants and just under £4,000. But within universal credit, it was quite a big reduction of £28,500 and 11 tenants. And what we're seeing now is a sustainment where people are in receipt of universal credit. We can get direct payments and also third-party deductions where tenants are in arrears, and that kind of maintains and sustains a reduction in arrears going forward. In terms of sequestrations and evictions, There were 2 evictions in the ward this period. That value was just under £10,000. Unfortunately, where we are not able to get a resolution, where we can't get the tenant to engage or find a solution to the debt that is owed, unfortunately we do have to, that is a last resort, not a decision that we take lightly, and there is a lot of work put in before we get to that point. There were 5 tenants who underwent sequestration. Again, as I've mentioned before, that would be with our colleagues in the advice shop, being made sure that the tenants have received a lot of advice and assistance. There was a reduction in £14,419 in arrears with that. But again, that is a way that someone can avoid eviction and help their financial circumstances at that time. In terms of letting homes, so void and letting activity is delivered collaboratively and requires partnership working across housing operations, housing need and building services. We do have an ongoing housing emergency and great pressures on our housing waiting list. During the period, there was 25 properties let, there was 44 new voids, and within the reporting period also, at the end of the reporting period, there was 53 void properties. It's 21 more than the same period this time last year, and 11 properties classed as policy voids. For the full year to date, the main points to note for the ward is that there was 93 properties let and 105 new voids received from the service from outgoing tenants. Within Appendix 2, you can see we've got various tables there just highlighting the breakdown of those figures, and the average relet times are 56 days for mainstream voids and 22 days from temporary tenancy voids. Colleagues in building services work really hard to try and keep those timelines to a minimum to make sure that we do get continual throughput. For all wards across, and just to give a whole service perspective, there was 268 properties let during that period. 300 new voids were received, and at the end of the reporting period, there was 437 voids for all the council wards, which was 128 for the same period this time last year. And to give the full year-to-date picture, we have let 800 properties so far, which does equate to 182 less than the same period this year. 1,002 new voids were received, and it was 48 less than the same period. So it does show that there is a bit of a slowdown in turnover, and that could be for various reasons that would fluctuate. In terms of investment in housing capital stock, as you can see, we've got a number of programmes on at the moment: renewal of kitchen and bathrooms, flat roof replacements, window and doors. We've also got the rack work that's ongoing as well, and that will continue. In terms of new build supply, you can see that that's with registered social landlords at the moment, and that's ongoing throughout this year and next year. For tenant engagement, various activities there. There was the Scottish Housing Day in September. We continue with our tenants' news, continue to try and engage with tenants through social media as well, and with any meetings and groups. So our TP team are really trying to make sure that we engage with customers and get involvement. For estates team and safer neighbourhood team, so you can see with the compliance work, we had 95 gas forced entry letters. Only 4 went to an actual forced entry. So unfortunately, even though we send out a series of letters and try and engage with tenants, this is a really important task that needs to be undertaken to make sure that we're complying with gas safety. Some tenants don't engage with us, and we do have to force entry to their homes. And they will be recharged for that, and we'll engage with the tenants to ask why that wasn't, they weren't in, and making the arrangement and make sure that the work is undertaken. There was a number of stair inspections, and that's just making sure that colleagues go out, undertake inspections of communal areas to make sure that they're clear of any refuse and make sure that the cleaning is undertaken. For Safer Neighbourhood team, you can see the activity there from the charts, various work that's been undertaken at that time. And as was explained from the colleagues in police, we work closely with police officers looking at any antisocial behaviour, making sure that we're giving advice and assistance and trying to minimise anything escalating there. And that concludes my report, and I'm happy to take any questions.
That's great. Thank you very much for that, Phyllis. Janet.
Thank you very much, Chair, and thank you, Phyllis. Just one point really for my clarification, if you don't mind. In terms of page 8, for all wards across West Lothian, there were 800 properties let, but 1,002 new voids. Does that mean that there are 200 properties which remain untenanted or void at the moment?
Well, I think it's quite kind of difficult to explain because it's the figures that we produce are at any given time. So what we're saying is that over that period there was 800 properties let, 1,000 properties throughout the year. So although they're let, we have a number of properties that will be going through the void process at that time. So even though we're getting properties let, we'll get new properties in. Looking at all wards for the quarter, I've not got a table for the year to date, but it is a moving feast. It changes almost daily. Yeah.
No, sure, I understand that, but thank you, Phyllis. And just one other question. Page 9, new supply. Well, 2 questions, I suppose, related to this. Do you know when we're expecting the rest of the 81 weekly homes at Winchburgh site BB?
No, I don't, Chair. I would need to check that with colleagues in Housing Strategy Development. That would be good, if you don't mind. That would be good. And the only other thing I wanted to ask about that was, do West Lothian tenants get first refusal on new lets? Not with registered social landlords, so we will have nomination rights with registered social landlords. If it was our own new build, so obviously we had the properties in Winchburgh that we let at the marina, so there will be a higher percentage of transfer-led tenants offered our new build, and we will have more properties coming up in Winchburgh as well, which is excellent, and quite excited about that. So we've got another 15 properties that will come to us middle of this year, but not with social landlords, no.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Phyllis. I suppose there is one other thing that's following on from that, and Maybe you said it just now, I'm not sure, but the new homes at Glendevin that are going to be built, will they be West Lothian Council or will they be RSL?
I'll check that with colleagues in Housing Strategy Development.
Thank you, that would be good, thank you, thanks.
Thank you. Mike?
Thank you, Chair. Phyllis, I'm just looking at Appendix 1 and we have the chart there, and I can see that the line for 2025 is following a very similar line to the previous year. Are you expecting that to continue on the same line? And if so, that would tell me that what we're doing today is the same as what we did last year. Is there anything else, even though it's excellent at 96.5%, do you think there's anything else that we could be doing to try and reduce that?
We continually strive to see what more we can do, different ways to engage. One of the most difficult things that we do find is trying to get engagement at the earliest possible time to prevent arrears from escalating, and that can be a real challenge for a number of reasons. Some tenants can bury their head in the sand. They find it difficult to engage with officers, which is a shame because officers are there to help, and the quicker engagement we can get, it does make a difference. Sometimes it's different as well because if somebody is in and out of work, again, it's about trying to make sure and encourage tenants that if they are eligible for benefits, they should make an application for that. Sometimes we find if people are in and out of work for short term, there seems to be a reluctance to apply for benefits, which does then mean that, it's a challenge to kind of close up that gap where they might have been entitled to, and then they're falling away with arrears. But we had all our officers in our training session last week, just to kind of take a step back, look at where we have been, look at where we're going. So we do try and see what we can do. I had a meeting with the advice shop this week, and we are going to be piloting the advice shop coming into the Broxburn office and the Whitburn office, again, just to see what further joint engagement that we can do and joint working, so that if we know we've got an officer in Strathbrock, and we can encourage tenants and make an appointment and say, look, we know we've got somebody here on hand to give advice and assistance. So again, just looking to see, we have kind of done it before, but we've not done it for a while. Again, it's looking at resources. Where have we got resources? Where's the best place and best time? So we're going to be piloting that from May this year.
Thank you, Phyllis. Mike?
Thank you.
Is that you, Mike?
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chair.
So just on the back of what Mike had said regarding the financial summary, I think our constituents still don't understand the discretionary payment and how that can help them. Now, I know that we have discussed this in length, Phyllis, and at every single meeting we do discuss discretionary housing payments benefit. What can we do to make sure that people are utilising that resource that is there for them? Because I know that a few people have came to me and said, oh, I'm not entitled to this, I'm not entitled to that. And then, we'll get the advice shop involved and actually they are entitled to it, but it's just maybe the way that they've worded their form or whatever it could be. So what do you think that we can do to really emphasise the fact that there is a discretionary housing payment there, and that if people are in need of this, then, to apply for it and, the criteria of it?
Yeah, we do that, Chair, and also officers will make applications for discretionary housing payments as well. So again, through the anti-poverty practitioners group, so there's a whole range of services and agencies there. So it's not just housing. So if anybody is out and dealing with a tenant who they know is struggling financially, so there is a kind of collaborative approach there, and also the work that the revenues team do and anti-poverty group do revenues as well. So there are a lot of officers out there with information. We put information on our letters, our rent arrears letters, so we have a standard information sheet which goes out with all the letters that we provide, which encourages tenants to reach out and either make application themselves, or if they're liaising with officers to help them, then we will do that either directly or encouraging the tenant to make contact.
Okay, so I noticed that we have a tenants information and publication, all right, news website.
Newsletter, yeah.
Right. So do we emphasise the fact that discretionary housing payments are available if people are in need of these? Because I think that's what it is as well. People are not aware of these, and people are coming to my surgery and speaking about what you've just said. I'm on a temp contract. I'm only getting a few shifts here and there. We're really, really struggling. What other support and help can I get? So it's a case of, well, discretionary housing payment. Oh, I don't know about that. Right, let's have a look at that. Let's get the advice shop involved. Let's see if there's any other benefits that you may be entitled to. And it might be that they've just not came to their housing officer to speak about these different things. It could also be that they're a private let. It could also be that they're a homeowner. So do private lets, homeowners, would they still be eligible to apply for discretionary housing benefit? Sorry, not people that own their home, private lets.
No, but I suppose if somebody, if there was an owner, then they can apply for mortgage relief. So there's things there. So I'm quite sure there will be information online from the anti-poverty service. So within the council's media, if you like, there will be information there. I can certainly check back our tenants news. We do a range of articles within that out to our customers. I can look and see if we have done something in the past. Sure, we will. We do rent arrears articles within that. So I can look and see when the last one is. That's maybe something that we can take forward for this year, because it is information that we send out regularly.
That'd be really good. And I think another thing on that, Phyllis, is the simple language. Some people, when they get letters and it's got all the jargon around it, to get to the actual point, just to make it very simple for the constituents as well?
All our letters are tenant approved.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. Right, my next question was, I was delighted to see the Scottish Housing Day. All right. However, you've not named the person that was nominated. So, what happened on that day, on the Scottish Housing Day? So, obviously, how many folks are involved? Do we get a lot of engagement? Is it something that you feel that is beneficial?
Yep, I can get information from that's our performance and change team that lead on that, so I can get more information on that.
Right, that would be great. Thank you, Phyllis. That's all questions from me. Thank you. Any other questions? No other questions. So any comments? No comments. So again, Phyllis, thank you for the report. Thank you for your time. And if you would like to leave, you can. All right.
Okay, thanks.
Everybody happy to note the report? That's great. Thank you very much. So we'll go to item 8, service update for Nets, Lands and Countryside. Dean and Dina. Sorry.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to advise members of the recent activities of the Nets, Land and Countryside Services team for the period 1st of October 25 to the 31st of December 2025. Section D2 of the report identifies that the grass cutting season finished in mid-October, completing 9 cycles in the ward. There's been 2 full applications of weed killer to soft landscaping and 1 full application to hard landscaped areas completed. Hedge and shrub cutting commenced at the end of the grass cutting and is progressing well within the ward. The table highlights a reduction of inquiries for overgrown shrub beds and grass cutting in total. Section D3 on garden maintenance have completed all 9 cycles and 1 hedge cutting cycle. For this period last year, complaints have increased from 0 to 5 and reports of vandalised property risen from 0 to 4, but overall grounds maintenance inquiries have reduced by 5. Section D4 covers cleaner communities. The Urban Clean team, which is our street cleansing teams, have been targeting areas around West Lothian. Projects worked on this period was cleaning the Broxburn War Memorial and surrounding paths prior to Remembrance Day. A local Keep Scotland Beautiful campaign was launched in October to tackle roadside litter on the A801 in conjunction with Falkirk Council. Roadside litter is a particular problem on this road, and actions include a joint press release for the 2 councils, local volunteer litter picking groups and KSB. Main businesses which attribute to the litter issues on this road, such as McDonald's, are also promoting posters and bin wraps in the premises in support. Spring Clean 2026 registration was set out to groups and schools in December. Currently from this ward, Uphall Primary School have registered to take part. It will be running for 6 weeks this year instead of 4, and we hope for West Lothian to top the achievements they made last year and possibly come in first place. We are currently sitting 3rd in Scotland with 120 registered events and nearly 2,200 volunteers taking part. We have just completed the Roadside Week of Action, which involved picking the A89 Broxburn through to Bathgate, but then branches off to Bathgate to Greenrig and Bathgate to Blackridge, collecting 318 bags, and a further 74 bags from the A801 were picked by the Cleaner Communities team along these routes over 4 days. On the 5th day, we had a joint pick with West Lothian litter pickers and added another 52 bags, which brings the total to 444 bags collected by the Cleaner Communities team. Overall, the Cleaner Communities inquiries have seen a drop from compared to 2024. With Section D5, Ranger Service and Ecology and Biodiversity colleagues have delivered Access to Nature, which is a tiny forest project with Winchburgh and Sinclair Academy, as well as Holy Primary School. Pupils planted native saplings to aid natural reforestation as part of this project. Forth River Trust are now working on scoping of the Liggett Sike in Broxburn for natural flood management. With open space and cemeteries, the headstone stabilisation project continues within the ward. Happy to take any questions.
Jane, thank you very much, and I do apologise. I couldn't hear what Craig was saying, so I'm sorry. Do we have any questions for Jane? Mike?
Thank you, Chair. Just looking at your ground maintenance inquiries, I can see that the complaints on ground maintenance has shot up, and so has the property vandalism. Are these complaints linked to the vandalism?
I'm not sure. I can ask colleagues in grounds maintenance for more details on that.
Okay, moving on to enforcement. When we're looking at vehicles being moved between streets and officers contacting the DVLA and the USA, what support do those organisations provide you, and how effective is it?
On
D4 enforcement. That's page 4.
Yeah, I'm just checking that. Sorry, what was the question again about them moving the...
Okay, there's dealing with abandoned vehicles, and when you engage with some of the abandoned vehicle owners, they tend to move them from one street to another street. I've actually had some complaints from constituents that this has been happening, and you're saying here that when officers are presented with this, that they often contact the DVLA and the VUSA for support. Mm-hmm. So I'm asking what support do you get and how effective is it?
So what generally happens is if it goes to the DVLA, it will become within their powers to have the vehicles removed, and they can directly go, because a lot of the times these are businesses that these vehicles are getting moved around from. And they have a few more powers than us to remove vehicles. Even because if we cite a notice on a vehicle in one position, when it moves, that notice is null and void. Whereas if the DVLA or VOSA cite the notice and it's moved, they can still collect the vehicle.
Okay, thanks.
Attached to the vehicle.
So moving on to fly tipping, I think I need my bigger glasses for this font. Looking at the locations, trying to see now. In November and December, there are 21 locations where the fly tipping is happening. Are those the same locations? And if so, do we monitor them? So that was like policing them or having a presence there.
So what officers will go out to inquiries where it's been reported. It's a joint effort between enforcement and NETS. So these will be inquiries that have come through NETS where they're just going out and collecting flag tipping. And if there's a trend of locations, enforcement officers we will then look at what's happening in that area and if we can do other preventative measures there. Gathering evidence or install cameras.
Okay. Moving on to the D5. So we've got ecology and biodiversity. I was interested to see on your projects that there was a survey and treatment was finished and there's plans to be drawn up. Could you expand a bit on the survey and treatment? What the survey results came up with, what treatment you carried out, and what the plans are that are being drawn up?
I will take that back to my ecology and biodiversity colleagues to answer that.
That's me. Thanks, Chair.
That's great. Thank you, Mike. Any other questions? Janet?
Thank you very much, Jane. Could I just ask again the Ranger Service update, bottom of page 5? I think that is a fantastic part of the report. A member of the Ranger team assisted colleagues to deliver another access to nature tiny forest. Could I just ask, the method involved planting native saplings in high densities. Could I just ask, was that silver birch or what were the native saplings? Do you know?
Again, I would have to go ask my colleague.
If you don't mind, thank you.
Tony?
Thank you. Next, Chair. Are you aware of any prosecutions that have taken place over fly tipping?
We have fined some individuals. I could get figures for the ward for you.
Okay.
We've done.
Please. Thank you.
That'd be great, Jane, if you could circulate that. That was one of my questions, Tony. So, perfect. Jane, I would like to ask you one thing about fly tipping. Now, I don't know if it's just the way that this has been put onto the report, but it's not very good to see it. You know, you can't really read it. It's very small, as Mike pointed out. And I do wear glasses, and I still can't see it. So if we could maybe, feed that back to make sure that when we're speaking about fly tipping, the report comes on fly tipping, if we could make that a wee bit more readable, and so members can read that better. All right. So we'll go on to comments. Any comments? So I have 2 comments, Jane, that I would like you to take back. So I am absolutely delighted that work has started at Little Rascals Park over at Brackensbury in Broxburn. So I would just like you to pass on my thanks to the team. Erwin and I and Andy, before he retired, we went over there in regards to Little Rascals Park. So hopefully the work started, and I'm looking forward to the end result. Second thing as well is that I think we all say this in this chamber, but again, I think that it's right to say it as well done to the litter pickers. They do absolutely amazing work. So West Lothian litter pickers, well done for the amazing work that they've been doing as well. Okay. Any other comments? Okay, that's great. Are we all happy to note this report? That's great, thank you. Jane, if you have to go, you're more than welcome to do so. Thank you for your time and thank you for your report. Okay, so we'll go to item 9, the work plan. So as always, I do encourage folks to come forward with any ideas that could be put onto the work plan. So we're happy to take any ideas that members have. All right, are we happy with this work plan? And if you do have anything, if you could bring it forward, then we can discuss if it can go on to the work plan, if that's all right. Okay, we're happy to note that work plan report. Thank you. So we'll go to item 10, timetable of meetings. Yes, and Craig McCorriston is going to come in and speak on this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. So just very briefly, by way of introduction, the proposed dates are there for consideration and approval by the local area committee. Worth just reflecting, Chair, that the timetable of committee meetings went to Council Executive earlier this month, but specifically within there was reference to the local area committee meetings not being dates of those meetings not being agreed by Council Executive, with them to come back to individual local area committees for consideration. So, Chair, the timetable of meetings is there for that purpose. Thank you.
Thank you, Craig. Any questions? Mike?
Chair.
Thank you.
My first LAC was last year in March in Winchburgh, and it was yourself, Chair, that suggested that these LAC should be held here in the chamber. And indeed, the following LAC, on the 30th of May in Uphall, there was a vote, and you had the casting vote, and that was to alternate between the local areas and the chamber. And your argument back then was that the Chamber is able to do a live broadcast, whereas some of the venues that we were using in the local areas did not. This Labour Conservative coalition has decided during the budget to stop all live broadcasts. So that argument is no longer holding water. So I would like to propose that all LACs are moved back to the local areas to serve the local communities, allow the local communities and local groups to attend, because they're now unable to view the LAC online. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you very much for that, Mike. My response to you on that is, yes, that was the reason. It was to alternate between the chambers and the community. I think I would like to point out, though, that no member of any party during the budget saved the website recording or streaming. The SNP didn't save it, Labour didn't save it, Conservatives didn't save it, the Independent didn't save it, and neither did the Liberal Democrat. We all voted to reduce that service. So you can't just blame two groups. Anyway, getting back to your question. In regards to the meetings, I feel that it was fair, and I think a decision was made. We all voted, and as you quite rightly said, I had the casting vote, that it would be council chamber and we would be out in the community. And I think that still stands. I don't think that, that there's any different method in what you're saying. We're in the chambers, then we're in Uphall, then we're in the chambers, then we're in Strathbrock, then we will be the chambers, and then it will be Winchburgh. So we are still out in the public. But thank you for bringing that to us, Mike. I was looking at this book. Okay, so I will move the paper. Seconder. And do I have a seconder? There's the table. Thank you, Tony. Okay.
I need to move an amendment.
Happy for your amendment to be moved, Mike.
So my amendment is that all LACs are held within the local communities.
So you will need a seconder?
Janet.
Okay.
I'm happy to second that, given that democracy is best served as close to the people it represents as possible. The removal of local democracy, I believe, was an infringement on the rights of the people of the Broxburn, Uphall and Winchburgh ward, who will no longer be able to have view of any meetings. And I would like to add that my group were under the impression that recordings, audible recordings would still be available. And that was extremely disappointing to find out that that would not be the case. So I will second Mike's amendment.
Okay, right, so we're now open for contributions. Does anyone else have any contribution? No, okay, so we'll go straight to the vote. So we'll go for the motion. That's my motion.
Yep. Chair, so I'll just look for committee colleagues to keep me right here. So we have a motion and an alternative position to that. The yes vote, the yes button would be for the motion, which is to approve the timetable as is, and the no button is for the alternative position, which is set out by the councillor. There is an abstention button there as well. Thank you, Chair. So straight to the vote.
Chair, if I can confirm that all members present have voted, there are 2 votes for the motion, 2 votes for the amendment, and therefore you have the casting vote.
I will be going for the motion. Thank you. Okay, so the motion has
Chair to confirm,
agreed.
yes, the
Okay,
motion has-
thank you. Okay, thanks for that, Janet. Any other comments that anyone would like to make? No? Okay, right. Thank you for your time. Hope you all have a lovely weekend. We'll see you at the next LAC. Thank you. Which will be held... Where's the next LAC? Where's the next LAC? St Clair's Academy in Winchburgh. So if there is any members of the public that will be listening to this recording and you do want to come along to the local area committee next time, then it will be over at St Clair's Academy in Winchburgh. Thank you.